And that was The Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls here on RTA in Japan, Winter 2025. You're watching the English Restream. My name is Bobby Blackwolf, and I am thrilled to continue to be with you for a couple more hours as we continue raising money for Doctors Without Borders. We have raised over almost 3.3 million yen for Doctors Without Borders. And if you want to donate to this very amazing charity, !donate in chat is where you can get the links to be able to do that. Or you can look at the schedule in English of what we've got coming up. !schedule in chat will get you to the English schedule. And if you want to commentate on one of the future runs because you know the game and you don't want the host to just sit there and reacting and trying to read Wikipedia, even though I hope you enjoyed my Wikipedia reading for you, all you got to do is !form, and you can fill out the form and join us on commentary. Coming up next, we're going to rescue Olimar. Pikmin 4 is the game that is coming up next. And we are going to have somebody that actually has played this game a little bit. I'm seeing if they are ready to be brought in here. Commentator, are you there? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I am ghostkumo.
ghostkumo, you just wanted to spend some more time with me here.
Always, Bobby.
You commentated. It was Paper Mario. We were hanging out last night.
Yep. Look, as a fellow Bobby, I gotta share.
There we go.
I gotta share the space with my kin.
Yes. So I have not played Pikmin 4. The closest I have gotten to Pikmin is I am all about Pikmin Bloom, which is the Niantic game that is not Pokemon Go, but I play that instead. So that's as close as I've come to playing Pikmin. So tell us a little bit about Pikmin 4.
All right, so Pikmin 4 was kind of like, it was teased pretty early on in the lifespan of the Switch, like very early, I want to say. Took a long time to come out. It came out finally, I think, in 2023. And the way I kind of see this game personally is, like it exists in a weird point in the timeline with this series where it feels like it's like an alternate universe from the other Pikmins in some ways, because some of the events don't line up with previous games. But the way I think of it is, it's like, it feels like the game that they were making where they weren't sure if they were ever going to make another one of these. So they really pulled out like all of the stops. There are so many like just interesting ideas in it. This game is by far the biggest in the series, like even more than like 2 and 3. The category they're doing is Rescue Olimar, which Pikmin 2 has a actually, I'll get into the category descriptions once we actually get started, because that'll be in the VOD.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like the Nintendo made this game to like pull out all the stops with this series and kind of really push what a Pikmin game could be, while sticking pretty close to the core that had been established between 1, 2, and 3. It does have like, I would say it's the closest to 2 in its ideas, because it has like treasure caves and there's not an objective that's kind of like forcing you to do things the way that 1 and 3 have like a sort of time limit, especially 1. But it does have some elements of like 3. It also features every Pikmin type, which I thought was interesting, like every previous Pikmin type, because there were a total of I want to say 7 by the time of Pikmin 3, but like a couple of the types barely appeared in Pikmin 3, if at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so what type of things are we going to be seeing? Like, what should we look for in this run?
So I'm actually not super familiar with the current route, but I have seen, actually looking at the leaderboard, there is a big gap between the top 4, all Japanese runners who set a PB within the last couple of weeks. So I suspect there might be some new tech.
Ooh.
And I'm interested to find out what that'll be. But the thing about Pikmin, the name of the game is, optimization is like the name of the game with speedrunning in general, but Pikmin has kind of always thrived on being about efficiency and doing tasks as quickly as like possible, but like splitting your things up, because Pikmin's like kind of a real-time strategy game. You have 100 of these little goobers called Pikmin that you throw around, and they kind of do things on their own. They'll attack enemies you throw them at. They'll like pick up things that are on the ground and they'll take them back to your ship, which they can use to make more of themselves, or they can use to for treasure. I believe it was like treasure with this game. I'm like trying to remember exactly which Pikmin I'm
We'll
thinking
find
of.
out.
But
We'll find out together.
4 is a bit of a weird one because like this is the first one they did a create a character. Personally, I'm not really sure why, because I think Olimar, the main character of the first game and second game, has enough personality as is. Speaking of Olimar, there is actually a secret mode in this particular game, just called in the category is called Rescue Olimar, but that means you have to play up to a certain point in the game, which is like the main objective. There's a whole bunch of stuff you do after that, but it's kind of like rescuing Olimar is when you get to the credits. So it's kind of like the any percent-ish category of the game. There's also Olimar Shipwreck. Oh, God.
Yeah, and this is a 4-player race. So we're going to be watching a 4-player race of this, and we did hit the incentive. There was a 200,000 yen incentive to have I get the translation here says a dandy battle between the runners after the run.
That must be Dandori.
Dandori. Okay, so yeah, I'm using the Firefox Translate here. So yeah, that's going to be happening after the run. We have met that incentive. So this is a 4-player race, and then they're going to battle each other.
Yeah, so Dandori is kind of like a term for just the general, like, it's mentioned even in the English version of the game a lot, but it's sort of the ethos of Pikmin. It is getting your little guys to do things as efficiently as possible. And the game actually challenges you on this by, in several areas, making you go through a floor. They give you a timer, and you have like a certain amount of resources, and you need to spend the time to build up those resources as quickly as possible to grab everything and then finish the like floor or whatever. It's actually like straight up, the game has its own speed run time attack challenges, and it rewards you based on how well you do in them. So like even playing this game casually, this is like the most speedrun oriented Pikmin game that's been made.
Well, I'm excited to see this.
There's also a mode called Olimar's Shipwreck Tale, which is basically like, it's kind of like Pikmin 1 Redux, where like you starring as the main character of that game. Olimar, you need to get his ship parts back, but you have a much tighter deadline than you did in Pikmin 1. But it's a more condensed game. It's not as grand. It's definitely not as hard. If there's one thing I can say about Pikmin 4, it's that it's of the 4, but for reasons that we'll get into once we start explaining a certain little fella by the name of Ochi. Ochi is kind of funny, actually.
What are friends for? So while we're waiting for the game to start and then the VOD to start, you know, the schedule, people can find the estimation schedule. What are you looking forward to most coming out for the rest of the week here?
So,
I prepare him for these questions. Everybody, just so you know.
Drama Center, which sadly we don't have a commentator signed up for that yet. Yeah, if you happen to know anyone who can. The Drama Center is always a delight of a speedrun because you're literally doing surgery badly, I might add. It's about efficiency, not about healthcare. It's like one of the... my buddy Altabist get trauma center speedruns as anime malpractice. Basically, you're doing surgeries as fast as possible, and your only interest, like your only goal is, your main goal is to keep them alive. Your goal is to do it as fast as possible. Those are conflicting interests.
Yeah, and that is coming up in looks like in about 2 days from now. I'm trying to do like UTC, changing from UTC to my time zone, but yeah, that's coming up in probably about 48 hours from now, I think, or less.
About 44.
44, yeah.
One of my old roommates from a previous limit break, Halkari, is going to be doing Pokemon Scarlet Violet in a race.
Okay.
Persona 4. It is a long speed game for sure, but it actually is like
hours.
There's a surprising amount of like quality like tech to that run. It's very comfy. It's not just like a dull run. Like there's a lot of tense moments in that run because you're making an RPG that like you reach the end of that game like in the level 70, 80 range in like casual play. But in the speedrun, it's just like you AI teammates, so it's like so much of the effort gets focused in the main character in that game. That means that you have to like invest everything in your main character. But if your main character dies, then it's over. So it's like the resources you have to work with are a bit stringent. On top of that, it's also you gotta like if you're playing a game in the SMP series, which is infamous for like if one thing goes wrong, it is very punishing. So like you can just get randomly flat. Literally right after that run is a game called Back to the Heavens. Back to the Heavens is kind of a rage game if you've ever played games. Or it's kind of like that. It's got a really cute pixel art anime-esque aesthetic, for lack of a better word. It was made by a Western developer, but it's very much got like that kind of chibi style. This game is BS hard. Like it is, nice. It is a game designed to frustrate you because like you don't have most conventional forms of movement. The way you mainly build up momentum is by literally hitting everything around you with a bat. You hit the ground with the bat to spring yourself up. You hit the walls with your bat to accelerate. Like, trying to find speed in this game takes a ton of work.
Awesome. We are now switching over to the race. This is RTA 2025, the English Restream. Pikmin 4, the race to rescue Olimar.
ここからは Pikmin 4のお時間です。今回は世界トップランカーの4人による並走です。
Alrighty, so Pikmin 4, game released in 2023 for the Nintendo Switch. We got 4 excellent runners here. Let me just make sure I have all of them on here. So Kobachi, Albut, and Spark are 3 of the top 4 on the leaderboards. I suspect the 4th runner, KiriChan, probably has a better PB than indicated on the... But sometimes people, like, when they practice for a marathon run, they get new PBs and don't put them on the leaderboard. But yeah, as mentioned in the previous show, the record of this game is like 55 minutes, and the top 4 all have a pretty significant advantage over like the 5th place and upwards, so I'm suspecting there's some amount of new tech coming in.
では、走者の方は準備をしてください。So we are about to run the Pikmin 4. So please enjoy this race featuring 4 runners. And to everyone watching, let's play Pikmin together.
Amazing that we have the blue, red, and yellow Pikmin, the iconic classic colors of the series. Also a Bulborb plushie, which makes me very happy. Those are not cheap. Nintendo has had a fairly limited run of merchandise for this series. Anyways, Pikmin 4. So, this is the first game in the series you actually create a character. But before we get to anything here, here is our friend Olimar. We're gonna have to rescue him in this category. The tutorial of this game is played as Olimar, and it introduces us to our dog friends. I am suddenly blanking on the name of Olimar's dog friend, but I'll get to the other, probably more important one a little bit later. So Olimar's once again discovering these little fellas named Pikmin. They are little vegetable creatures with leaves on their head. They're the main units of the entire game. A thing that you'll see in this particular in a household toyed with the idea. The planet that you go to is some iteration of Earth, so this just kind of is like a human household that's been like abandoned or whatever. But there's all these like strange little creatures here. So the dog actually has the ability to charge, but it also works as a she in this case also works as like a mount, and is very broken. Normally you use it to charge to plow things over, but you can also charge into enemies, which does a bit of damage, but it also puts every one of your Pikmin on whatever you just charged into. Anyways, so Olimar sent out a distress signal because a whole bunch of stuff happened. So now we need to go to the planet and save him, and all of the runners are making their own little create a character. You have a silent protagonist in this game, which I personally think is just a little unfortunate. Honestly, an underrated Nintendo protagonist. Land on the planet and meet our good. Ochi is a little dog who is completely broken. Initially, Ochi only has the ability to do, I think the work of like 3 Pikmin, but you can just soup Ochi up to just dominate the game. Like, I'm actually, I wonder, like, if you can literally beat this game without any Pikmin, just by using Ochi, because it's like that powerful. So you need to go and rescue a whole bunch of dudes in the game. This is the first of them. There's a whole bunch of these like civilians that you'll find, but like the kind of silhouettes you see there are kind of like your main targets that you need to save. And it's kind of like how you advance the game. So Pikmin is kind of like this interesting little hybrid game, like an adventure and a real-time strategy, where much of the work you're doing is controlled by your little Pikmin units. We haven't quite gotten to with them just yet. Currently, the runners are all opening up one of the I can't remember the name of what these are called, but basically the caves. Okay, they're just called caves. But, you know, I just call them dungeons. So, gonna have Ochi take out things. Your captain as well can punch things for a little bit of damage. Because the captain has a dying relatively quickly the way Pikmin do. Your captain is sometimes good to just have for offensive purposes, because, like, all it is, you know, I'll wipe if they run out of health, if they have, like, a health bar to work with. So, here, we've just saved, like, I can't remember her name, but, yeah, this whole section is just kind of like a tutorial area for how this whole
はい、洞窟を脱出して、宇宙船シェパード号の元へとたどり着きました。もともと先行して向かっていった、先輩隊員たちが乗っていた船ですが、不時着でエネルギーが切れてしまっています。 そこでこの星に存在するお宝に宿る、キラキラエネルギーになる謎の力を集めるミッションがここか
So
ら
it looks like for right now, they're all kind of neck and neck because there hasn't been much.
今掘り起こしているのがオニオンといい、ピクミンの母
It's
体
just kind of like little
以降ここに
movement optimizations, like getting through cutscenes, etc.
お宝を集めていくことになります
So
この
the-
RPG ではオリマー
it's kind of ironic. So the name of the like fruit that you're saving is the rescue core.
そのためにお宝を集めたり、遭難者
And
8人と葉っぱ人
We're
3
the
人を
ones doing the rescuing of the rescue core who all came here to save Olimar.
続いて奏者の紹介です。画面左上から、小鉢のうどんさんです。4年ほど前にピクミン2チャレンジモードから参入し、ピクミンシリーズをやり込んでいる猛者です。ピクミン2の全お宝回収
Hub, I guess you can call it, spawn point to near the ship, and now this little spaceship here is going to be following us. This is an onion. Every time a Pikmin brings either the corpse of an opponent that it has defeated or a little circular kind of, I don't even know what they're called, like what to call them, but there's these things called candy pops, and I seem to just disconnected for a second.
You're good. We're good.
Okay. Yeah, if the Pikmin brings them over, it gets absorbed into the ship, and then the ship spits out more seeds, and you pluck out those seeds, and that gets you more Pikmin.
このカテゴリーでは世界に55分
Similar to Pikmin 2, this game actually has a treasure system.
続いて画面
So you bring your Pikmin to carry a treasure. Ochi can also do this. Ochi, as mentioned, has like a, as you've seen, might have seen earlier, has a lifting capacity of 3 Pikmin.
世界2位の記録を持っています。ピクミン4の
So yeah, you just have
構築したのがベースになっています。攻めの姿勢と速すぎる連打速度が売りです。このカテゴリーでは世界4位。
Aw, Game Boy Advance.
yeah. The treasures are always like homages to other
続いて
things.
画面右下スパーク
So yeah, they've all skipped. They've all taken care of the first day. The first day is pretty low stress in a casual playthrough. It's
同士の大会で数々の好成績を収めてきた
yeah, they've been just collecting a whole bunch of these treasures, and the treasures all have this like certain value to them.
では全国1位のスコアを記録しています。 このカテゴリーは世界5位56分21秒という
A lot of the treasures are just like real world objects. Personal favorite is in Pikmin 2, there is an object called the Strife Monolith, which is just a 7-pin tile in Mahjong. And it's like, there has never been a more apt description of Mahjong tiles.
いわゆるこれ 2% のカテゴリーですね。で2つ目が
So now we're on to day 2, and in Pikmin 4, rather than just going, like picking an area you go to, you can talk to the rescue core, and the rescue core kind of, as you save more of them, they give you more things that you can do, little missions, objectives, and bonuses, and things that you can actually spend.
今回のカテゴリーはいわゆる 2% のカテゴリ
You
ーとなってい
can spend, can't remember the name of the resource, but like,
ますここではピクミンを出さずに、
effectively you can spend money to get like items that you can use and upgrades that you can use, especially for Ochi, and those are going to be really strong. You can get on Ochi's back and ride it at a point in the game, but you can also just sick Ochi on things and cause him to ram into stuff. So KiriChan currently in the lead with Kobachi and Spark not far behind. The thing about the charge is there is a bit of a cooldown, so it looks like that caused Albert to lose a little bit of time.
道をきれいに書いていく、特徴があります。とても強力なピクミンです。この RTA でも、存分に活躍していただきます。
So the enemies in this game kind of just start off fairly simple. There's like little bugs that can hit you for an annoying amount of damage. And in this area, we discovered the ice Pikmin. So the red Pikmin is the first one that we get, but the ice Pikmin that appear in this cave that are fighting this icy blowhog is what it's called. It's a pig. They're the second type, and they're one of the new types of Pikmin introduced in Pikmin 4. Ice Pikmin are broken. They're immensely immensely busted. Like, just it's actually absurd. So red Pikmin have like the second highest base strength stat of any Pikmin in the game, and they're immune to fire, which has its uses, but it's not like they're like your kind of your baseline Pikmin. Ice Pikmin are a little weaker in terms of damage, but the thing is they can inflict ice damage, and when like you see the meter around an enemy's health, it's like an icy blue meter. Once it circles all the way around their health bar, the enemy will be frozen for a bit and unable to act, and you can just absolutely unload. Ice Pikmin just destroy things. The caveat to this is that any enemy that is frozen, if it's defeated, it just shatters into pieces, so you can't actually bring it back with you. So, first underground cave taken care of here. All the runners getting out relatively quickly, and they brought like this little I can't remember the name of it. It's not an onion, but it looks like the onions, and it is a you can just use it to get a whole bunch more Pikmin. I think I'm like misremembering some of the mechanics of this game. Let's see. Yeah, it's called a okay. Okay, now I'm remembering what it is. Those are called Flowerlights, and they increase the amount of Pikmin that you can have out at any given time. Pikmin has always had a like cap of 100 as the most Pikmin that you can have out at once. In this game, you have to actually collect these. You have to collect these Flowerlights to actually increase your max capacity. Pikmin 4 has so many different types of Pikmin that I suspect when they were designing this game, they wanted to make sure that the players weren't overwhelmed, and like also didn't try to put in just like 7 different colors of Pikmin. I don't know why they stop us. But like there's a limit to the number of colors of Pikmin you can bring into any given dungeon. You can only bring up to 3 different colors, and given how busted ice Pikmin are, sometimes it can feel like it's really only 2. In this dungeon here, we've also picked up the yellow Pikmin. Yellow Pikmin, in the first game, they had the ability to carry bombs. But ever since they've had immunity to electricity, in Pikmin 2, electricity was an insta-kill. In this game, it's just a standard hazard, so yellow's kind of got nerfed again. But the advantage that they do have is that when you throw them, the arc that they go vertically is higher than any other kind of Pikmin. So we just see a lot of the runners here carrying treasures to the ship because they need a certain amount to advance the game and then unlock new areas. In everything that happens on the overworld above takes place on a global timer, but while you're in the dungeons, you basically can take as long as you need to down here. Something interesting, actually, is this game, one of its more annoying features is that like when you're pointing your cursor at stuff, the cursor kind of locks on to things, and a lot of people weren't fond of that because it's like sometimes you want to throw your Pikmin in between things or like make them avoid something. And I believe they just recently fixed that. Like, they added a patch to fix it. So that, like, you can toggle it.
5% なんでそんなそうそう出るものでもないんですが。あ、出てくれましたね、これ画面。
Yeah, the runners, especially like Kobachi, KiriChan, and Spark are all relatively close together. But I mean, Pikmin has a lot of volatility, especially when we get to the final area of this game, and this run. there's definitely plenty of room for anyone to catch up. Yeah, KiriChan just finishing the dungeon, Kawachi not far behind.
これは、ウォッチンを強化するためですね。ちょっとウォッチンの強化について説明させていただきます。
And that is the end of day 2.
ウォッチンは強化されていきます。例えばこの次の日からは、大きくなって乗れるようになったり、ジャンプすることができるようになります。ピクミンが隊列、今だとねリーダーに引き連れて隊列で動いているんですけれども、ウォッチンが、くっついていくことでウォッチンの背中に乗ることができるようになります。
And a nice thing about this game is it actually, and all of them really, is they keep track of how much stuff is in any given area. So usually you can kind of tell how much you've done. Early areas of Pikmin games tend to have like areas, like sections that you can't quite get to until you get later forms of Pikmin. So there's kind of like a bit of progressing and then coming back. Pikmin's a very satisfying game to like collect things in. Something I also haven't talked about yet is you can actually switch between the player character and Ochi. So Ochi kind of doubles as a second captain, kind of similar to how Louis worked in Pikmin 2, where you can press a button and switch between them. Ochi obviously has all of the really busted abilities and the fact that you can ride on top of him, which is quite efficient for movement. The trade-off, however, is that Ochi has a larger... Ochi is just bigger, and sometimes you need the captain to squeeze into stuff. Also, Ochi cannot swim. At least not at this point. None of the Pikmin can swim, but ice Pikmin can be thrown into water to freeze it over, as long as you have at least a certain amount, depending on the body of water. There is a type of Pikmin who can swim, the blue Pikmin, but we'll get to those later. So this is where we get into the real like meat of how speedrunning Pikmin works. Once you get the ability to switch between the two quote-unquote captains, mainly your character and Ochi, you can it's divide and conquer. You really want Ochi to handle certain tasks of his own. And like Ochi will take part of your army or even just go by himself to take care of a task, and then that'll take a certain amount of time, and then the player character can go off doing something else, and while the Pikmin are carrying objects back to the ship, you switch between them, and it's just kind of this balancing act of making sure that like your army and your captains are always doing something to advance the game, and that's really kind of like the ethos of Pikmin, as mentioned earlier, the embodiment of Dandori, which is a concept that ends up becoming kind of more literally pivotal to this particular game once we get into the Dandori challenges. So, Pikmin always carrying back treasures to the end of the dungeon, or not to the end of the dungeon, to the ship. And oftentimes what you'll see them do is once they know that they have all the treasures on a floor, the Pikmin will just carry it and they will walk to the exit or to the hole to the next floor, and then once they hear the jingle that says the treasure has been obtained and put in their ship, they will leave the dungeon because they've gotten everything they came for. ここからウォッチのジャンプを使って次の洞窟手分けファクトリーへと向かっていきます。この洞窟は文字通り、相棒の、ウォッチンと主人公のリーダーをうまく切り替えるといったようなことが必要になってきます。はい、手分けファクトリー1階です。手分けファクトリー1階なんですけれども、ここ Yes, they're trying to collect a certain amount of sparklium is what it's called. 無理やり次の何も返してフライト向かっていきます。They've already got 1500, which is what they need, but they're taking care of another dungeon floor here because you really want to get as much as you can in this time period rather than just skipping to the next thing you're supposed to do. そしてここから手分けファクトリー2階です。
ここで激辛を、50% の確率で激辛を出すピキマキと呼ばれる生物を3回、倒していきます。なので 50% のガチャを3回やっていきます。ちょっと画面全員に注目していただけるといいかなと思います。
Also,
まず
Ochi can jump.
最初のピキマキを倒す。
that might sound trivial, but there has never really been a jump button in the Pikmin series until this point, so like that's actually pretty big.
あ、出ませんね。
Like as I mentioned before the start of the run, Pikmin 4 is kind of like, it feels like a game that they made not knowing if they'd ever be able to make another one of these. And so they really pulled out all of the stops to make like, they make like every type of Pikmin available. There's a ton of dungeons. Like there's more content in this game, more stuff to do than there has ever been in any previous Pikmin game by kind of a pretty significant margin.
これどうだ。ああ、よかった。スパークさんも1個出ましたね。ああ、よかったです。これ1個、右下のスパークさんも1個出たんですけども、これ1個出ないとちょっとしんどいんでなんか1個出てよかったなって感じですね。
So once they've gotten, or once they've performed the rescue, got the treasures, gotten everything that they came to this area for, it's time to return. It's like all but's caught up a little bit. So KiriChan still maintaining a narrow lead with Kobachi just behind. Like literally on this, like the cutscene just before.
ああ、1個か。アルバスさんは
3個持ってます。順調です。
いいですね。順調ですね。
Yeah, this is a very close race so far.
ああ、OK です、OK です。パークさんは1個ですかね。
1個ですね。
はい。なんで、ここで激辛1個だと、ちょっと、リカバリーチャートをしていきます。なんで、小鉢さんと、スパークさんは、ここからちょっと後ほどリカバリーをしていくことになるかなと思います。なんで、今これ見た目でキリちゃんさんが先行していて、小鉢のうどんさんとか、アルバスさん、でスパークさんっていう順になっているんですけども、この見た目のタイム以上に激辛の数っていうのは重要になってくるので、ここから順位どんどんひっくり返ってくるのかなといった感じです。そしてここで、ラッセルに話しかけて、突撃部へとアイス爆弾を3つ開発していきます。突撃部についてちょっと説明させていただきます。こいつは主人公限定で
So here we're picking up some really, really useful
いろん
items.
なものを一斉に運んだり、敵との戦闘に使ったりしていきます。
I don't remember what the horn does, but I know the little spark balls.
1500キラキラ
Those those do some pretty potent effects to enemies. If I remember right there. I'm gonna just refresh my memory here. Yeah, so they are the ice blasts, and they when you throw them at something, it freezes an enemy like instantly. So very, very potent. As mentioned, freezing an enemy just stuns them in place.
RTA 的にはタイムロスとなってしまいますね。
Also they got the charging horn, which you can press a button that immediately sticks all of your Pikmin on whatever you're pointing at, and they'll all charge forward and attack it.
皆さん RTA やりましょうね。さて、ここからストーリーを進めるために、葉っぱ人となったオリマー
Kind of neat thing with this game is it has some twin stick shooter controls with the 2 joysticks and all that. So you can actually, while you're moving forward, you can hold the direction of your whistle and just like throw Pikmin at something while running by it. So there's a lot of like optimization of just like drive-by Pikmin tossing.
はい、まずは激辛使ってるな。ちょっとまた後ほど。
Yeah, if you look at KiriChan's screen, they're having Ochi kind of steer the army a specific way, and just like along the way they'll run into candy pops, so they'll throw a Pikmin at it to carry back to the ship to increase the size of the army. It's just kind of like you're constantly doing something. And it looks like Kobachi has just barely taken a lead here, but it's still anyone's race.
画面左下キリちゃんさんも一発です。
Getting a Okay, KiriChan got a very tight jump to clear that bridge there.
はい、ここで、オリマーとの段取りバトル、小手調べの戦いを、選
So
ばれてきます。
here we see something a little fishy, which is what looks to be Olimar, but with a bud on its head. And there's this little green dog that we saw at the beginning of the
大丈夫
game.
ですかこれ。
いや、ちょっとまずいかもしれないです
あ、
ね。
レンジャーに頼む。おお、これでよし、任せて。
This is Moss. The dog's name is Moss. I was like misremembering the name earlier, so I didn't want to say it. But yeah, so
これ普通にやって
there's a
しまうと
character who looks a lot like Olimar,
バトルをやってしまうことになるので、こんな感じで
running around with what looks like Olimar's dog friend, rescue pup, by the name of Moss.
はい。そしてここで、
And
オニオンを回収して
here,
ピクミンを増やしていきます。
like, you're effectively challenged to a
水辺を通る必要があるので、先ほ
you're
ど
effectively like challenged to like a multiplayer game. It's kind of based on like the multiplayer that was added in Pikmin 2, where you have to like collect a whole bunch of things and score more points than your opponent. You don't actually have to do it though, thankfully. So this whole thing is like optional for the run, so they're just not doing
こんな
it.
感じで水辺を凍らせることによって他のピクミンでも通れるようになるといったような感じになります。まあ、ピクミン4から、追加された要素
And if you're watching Kabachi's screen,
地下でピクミンを、仲間にすることができるんですが、各色のオニオンを回収しないと地上で増やすことが
they
でき
just got the blue onion. So
赤と
normally in previous Pikmin games,
青ピクミンはね
each Pikmin type would have its own onion, but here they just kind of all merge into the same thing. So now the onion has a blue side, and here's where we get blue Pikmin.
水辺を通ることができるピクミンです。まあ、1から応募してるので、とても馴染み深いんじゃないですかね。あ、この RTA でもある、とても
Blue Pikmin do the same amount, do like a normal amount of damage, less than reds, about the same as yellows. But importantly, they can
シ
swim.
リーズコンプリートスキップという技を
And there's a lot of things that are underwater, so you can't just
シリ
use
ーズでチップ類を集めたりとか、思い出の
use ice Pikmin to get through everything.
こんな感
So yeah, they skipped the competitive battle and was still able to rescue the individual that you're supposed to save there.
をスキップすることができるんですが、唯一触れる
The sprout that looks like Olimar gets away.
ちょっとコンバーチの動作失敗しちゃいました。キリちゃんさんもちょっと失敗しちゃいました。今現行だと
So Kabachi took a very slight lead, KiriChan in second,
感じの流れですね。
and actually, am I
こ
getting?
こから花吹雪の楽園です。
飛びました。
お、飛んだ。あ、いいですね。ごめん。アルバツさんがシリーズコンプリートスキップ
Yeah, it's pretty hard to try to figure out who's in first here.
はい、ここで、RT の歴史について、紹介します。大きな転換点が2回ほどありまして、
So Kabachi's in first, KiriChan's in second, Albert's in third, and Spark is bringing up
短縮されました。
fourth place.
で、2つ目
But
が
as mentioned, like
1月
Pikmin has a
によって
pretty fair amount
チュー
of
トリアルがスキップできる
randomness and volatility.
7分ほど短縮されたという感じになります。
So here we go chasing the Olimar-looking sprout fella
ただちょっとさすがに
once again.
1月12月と直前すぎて研究は全然進んでないです。そしてオリマーから再び、戦場のおもちゃ箱ですね、ランドリーバトルを、挑まれますが、ここも、例のごとく
And once again, just choosing not to do the mission
頼んでいきます。
because it's just slower to actually do it.
さて
And just so chat keeps their mind out of the gutter, what you said earlier, it would look like Olimar with a bud
ちょっと、
with BUD on its
It more
head.
like a more specific, yeah, like a full-on
ここで、
plant on his head, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
No, Olimar is cool. I would not, in fact, call him a butthead.
縮まることができます。で他のところで使うところもたくさんあるんですが、他はだいたい15秒ほどとなっていきます。
So here, getting another flare, like
できないよという
one particular trait about Ochi that's also busted. Once Ochi gets the ability to swim, you can actually have Ochi guide Pikmin across the water, which is pretty dang strong.
激辛を使う
Water is less of a hazard in this game than it's ever really been.
が上がったりします。オッチの速度も若干向上します。また戦闘力もすごい強化されるので、いろんなところで使っていきたいです。
Also, I haven't touched upon this, but you see on Albit's screen there a bunch of Pikmin glowing. You can pick up what are called sprays, and those will give your Pikmin like a speed and power buff for a limited time.
ここで奥に見える、カスタネットを移動させると、卵虫っていうのが出てきます。卵虫を、砕くと 20% の確率で激辛を出すことがあります。出ましたね。1個か。いやー、1個か。まあ、これ 20秒の回収するのに20秒のロスなんですけれども、複数出ればアドバンテージが取れるかなといったところです。
Another neat little aspect of Pikmin 4 is actually that you can move your onion and your hub to like various different landing points across the map. So if you ever if you clear off like one quadrant of the map, you can actually move the onion to like a different quadrant where you're like, I expect I'm going to be working with more things over here, so I'm going to just move my base closer so that my Pikmin don't have to go as far. All the runners currently in the next cave, except for Spark. And here we start to see like electrical enemies. When a Pikmin gets hit by a hazard that it doesn't resist, for the most part, what it will do is just kind of scrambles around. It's like if you throw a yellow Pikmin at an object that's on fire, the Pikmin will just kind of, its head will be on fire and it'll just run around in a panic. And if you don't, and you want to whistle it, and if you don't whistle it quickly enough, it will just die. So like if you look at Kobachi's screen, there's these enemies here that basically are made of lava, and they kind of make a fire field that only red Pikmin can deal with until you kill the particular enemies. A lot of charging into stuff as well with Ochi, and then building a bridge to the next area, and now it looks like KiriChan has taken the lead. Now they're done with this particular area and saved all of the rescuees. And now Orbit is taking second place.
日だまりの庭でやったようなジャンプを、ちょっとそれより難しいバージョンをもう一回やっていきます。
So the fellows you see on KiriChan's side of the screen, they're actually fairly useful in casual play. They're called Mamutas, and they'll just hit your Pikmin into the ground, which can make them get flowers on their head. When a Pikmin has a flower on its head, it basically moves much quicker. So, especially in casual play, you really want your Pikmin to have flowers so that they can all keep up. They move faster in general. 決まるかなどうかなっていうところですが、はい、ここの橋もさっきと同じように濡れる判定を突破して、ここからもう一回ジャンプしていきます。おお、一発で成功。素晴らしいですね。So once again, KiriChan doing a fairly precise jump to clear across a gap. And the cool thing about this game is you don't actually have to be carrying your Pikmin with you to get to into a dungeon with them. For the most part, there are some peculiar exceptions. We'll get to we might get to those. Well, actually, I don't know if we go to that dungeon. But generally, it's like you select which Pikmin you want to bring to any given dungeon. Kobachi making the jump. Albert having also succeeded.
橋ジャンプ両脇に判定があって、適切な入射角と、橋の縁のギリギリの外側で踏み切って、で即座に入力を切り返すっていうような。
So this area is like a floating factory. Important to note, if your Pikmin ever fall off the side, if I'm remembering it right, I believe that's an instant kill. So you don't want that to happen.
ここでちょっと小技なんですが、このボトルのネックに。
I know it's an instant kill in 2, and I'm trying to remember off the top of my head if it's an instant kill in 4. You don't want to have it happen.
そしてスパークさん右下ジャンプ
Is the point.
1回目は成功。2個目をいいですね。OK。
Spark just got that jump too.
なんか最初成功するのに1日とか2日とかずっとやっても全然成功しないとかあるんで。
Yeah, the main reason they're going for those jumps is to save on the resources that you need in order to build bridges.
簡単な技じゃないです。決まったら RTA の才能あるんでやってください。
because like once you get to the entrance of the dungeon, you can choose which kind of Pikmin to bring. So you're basically
3回のジャンプはタイム短縮が、特になくて、ただ、資材の数を14
you're basically good, and you can save yourself from having to expend resources, and also like wait for your Pikmin to carry over stuff.
チャートを組み込んでくるなといった感じになります。画面左下ちょっとキリちゃんさんに注目してください。ここで厳選
Pikmin 4 is definitely the most 3D of the Pikmins. There's a lot of like there's a lot of like using like vents to shoot yourself upwards, like you'll see in this dungeon. Something important to note with the charge is you can actually sick your Pikmin on something by color, so that way it's like you see an enemy that does fire damage, you can just charge it with your red army, and the enemy is basically powerless to defeat it.
戻ってくる。これをもう一回やって、おお、一発で成功ですね。素晴らしいです。いやー、
KiriChan doesn't quite finish the bridge, but makes the jump anyway.
挑戦していきます。また拍手お願いいたします。あるかな。1回目成功。2回目は判定あるんですが、いいですね。一発成功。
Kobachi just made the jump as well. All but made the jump as well. So.
ここもちょっと小鉢のうどんさんの画面に注目していきましょうか。ここで、4階の、ボス戦、風船ドッグリ戦へと向かっていきます。ここでは氷ピクミンが非常に活躍してくれます。風船ドッグリがいるんですけれども、空地にいる敵を凍らせると、一撃で破壊することができます。
Okay, I don't actually know why they did that. I believe KiriChan just threw. Yeah, Albert did the same. They threw a whole bunch of the ice Pikmin off of the ledge. I guess they just needed to clear up like space. Oh no! How could you do that? Yes, they fall to their death. So they just expended 10 ice Pikmin.
ちょっと入れ替えの手間とかが出てくるので、1、2秒の短縮のためにちょっと氷ピクミンをまで見ていきます。タイムは命より重いということで。そして先行しているのがキリちゃんさんですね。順番的にはキリちゃんさん、小鉢のうどんさん、アルバットさん、スパークさんといった感じになっているかなと思います。
If I recall correctly, I think you have to clear out you have to clear out a certain number of enemies in order to break down barriers, like you saw on Spark's screen just a little bit ago. It was either enemies or like treasures. I don't remember exactly how that makes the progress there, but yeah. Yes, now you get bomb rocks as well. If you're watching Kiri's and Albert's screen.
出てくるので馴染み深いかなと思います。高エネルギーの塊をね、はい。使っていろんなものを壊したりだとか。
Bomb rocks, similar to Pikmin 1, if you can break certain walls with them a lot quicker.
ここでは砂浜みたいな、ステージになってまして、満潮と干潮で水の水位が変わっていきます。ここでは青ピクミンが非常によく活躍してくれます。そして最初に、オッチのジャンプやっていきます。ここの段差。
So the next goal is to get up to 10,000 Sparklium. Of course, Ochi can just break the game, just swim by himself. So once again, getting into another one of these tunnels with one of these little sprout on heads. Dandori battles is what they are called. But again, you can just skip it and it will advance the game. Still, these are still fun to do, although they are just basically long auto-scrollers, so understandably not really something you'd want to spend time on if you don't have to.
However, I believe this is the incentive after the run. They are going to do one of those.
Yes, and I'm guessing that they're doing it amongst each other because it is part of the game's multiplayer component.
後に説明する、夜探索で集められる光の蜜を使って、人の姿へと戻してあげることが、必要です。RTA 奏者、8%になったら光の蜜を使って、しばらく開発してください。よろしくお願いします。
The weird little enemy with an onion on its tail, saw on KiriChan's screen. I always thought those guys are kind of funny. Like, the little things that they drop end up giving you a lot of Pikmin.
宝の価値はだいたい100前後で、辛いものだと、20前後しかないんですけれども、今回収した、自由の女神像は300だったりだとか、あと後ほど、回収するものが400、450といったような、このステージだけで
So
大
if
体
I'm remembering this game right, all those guys with
キラキラエネルギーを回収していきます。
onions slash flowers slash whatever you want to call them on their head, they've been infected with something, and you need to like you get something that cures them one at a time. Again, I am kind of going off of incomplete memory here, but figured it would be good to have somebody who has at least played this game and can kind of generally talk Pikmin. But I played this game like not quite 100%, but mostly like a year and a half ago. So excuse me if my memory is a little bit rusty on some things. So here we're seeing a lot of use of the blue Pikmin because they can just swim, and there's a lot of things that are in water, which means that by default they're the only thing that can take care of it. There are some of these bodies of water that you can like freeze with like blue ice Pikmin that like take an extreme amount of Pikmin.
本来だったら、ピクミンとかオッチンの突進とか使って破壊する必要があるんですけど、
Yeah, you can see Ochi can swim. It's a little faster to maneuver the dog around by jumping. But yeah, Ochi can basically carry Pikmin through water, which is quite handy in a lot of instances. But because these treasures are under the water, only blues can really take care of them.
なるべく画面のね、外にやれば、ピクミン適正生物って動かないっていうような特性がありますので、そういった特性をうまく利用しながら回収していけばいいかなと思います。
I believe Kabachi's just changing up controls. At present, KiriChan is in the lead, all but very closely behind.
ここでモアイ像が回収されたら、最後の、洞窟、海底リゾートへと向かっていきます。
Entering the next dungeon floor. These enemies here are these jellyfish that love to suck your Pikmin up, but you just can freeze them, and then once they're frozen, they fall to the ground and instantly die. So. Not really anything you have to worry about too much. ここで、爆弾岩を使って、アルバスさんまた激辛出てるのいいですね。爆弾岩を使って豚ドッグリを倒していきます。I don't remember if I said ice Pikmin can swim or not. They don't have to worry about water, but they can be like they can make it hard to move things. So blues still have a purpose despite how broken ice Pikmin are. この駒みたいなやつを青ピクミンで下ろしながら宝を回収していきます。 Yeah, there's a whole lot of switching here in between the captains here. A nice thing about Pikmin 4 is that when a treasure is carried to the ship, it just gives you a little jingle. In Pikmin 2, it actually like zoomed in on the ship, gave the treasure a name, and like it was this whole little cutscene that you'd have to skip, and it just, you know, this is more time efficient. I believe there's a little bit more treasure in this game, so that might be a part of why. さあ決まるかどうかっていう感じなんですが、どうだ。あ、いいですね。成功しました。素晴らしいです。A little cutscene there of showing that the Pikmin don't. Sometimes the Pikmin just won't know what to do, so they you'll have to like clear something out. In this particular case, you want your Pikmin to hit a switch. パッと見ただけじゃ難しさがわからないようなことになってます。そして小鉢のお父さんも成功しました。Oh no, the crab ate two of the Pikmin. Alright. KiriChan's at the end of the dungeon floor, just waiting for all the treasure and for the rescue. All of it right behind, followed by Kobachi and then Spark.
さあスパークさんも右下スパークさんもあれですね。大マンマンのアイス爆弾やっていくんです
There's a
が。
few different kinds of hazards in this game, or obstacles. So the one you just saw on KiriChan's screen, you just have to get a certain weight of Pikmin on one of these hanging bars to pull it downwards. That one you can really use any kind of Pikmin for, and then you can just like jump on it and clip through it to save like a very small amount of time.
見てみましょうか、左下。こんな感じで、いろんなお宝とかを回収していって、ここで、オッチンが水辺のジャンプによって、この、壁をね、壁じゃないや、端に乗っていきます。これ奥の壁を破壊しないと、次の階層へと向かっていけないんですけども、こんな感じで、ちょっと低い段差になっているところ
So some of the peculiar geometry of that area, you can just send Ochi around to get to the exit of the floor, and then just have the captain
次の階層へと向かっていきます。
handle everything.
ここでは、ボス戦、虫ガエル戦へと向かっていきます。ここもちょっと難しいので、決まったら拍手お願いします。ここでは、空中にいる間に、凍らせて一撃倒していくということをやっていきます。はい、画面左下のキリちゃん話ですね。こんな感じで氷ピクミンを。
So the enemy that you see on KiriChan's screen is called a Woolywog. It is a giant frog that will jump up and slam into the ground.
画面上側ですね。アルバットさんとコバチ。
But they just froze it, and then because it was in midair when it was frozen, it just fell to the ground and died.
とても難しいんですけれども、はい、アルバットさんもいいですね。そして、コバチのノアさんちょっと失敗しちゃいま
They're
したね。
particularly annoying in this game because they create little holes or little pockets of water in the ground as well, which if you're bringing anything other than, you know, Pikmin that are immune to water, can be a bit of a problem.
大回りして、氷ピクミンを確実につけた後、
I love Woollywogs. They're so silly looking.
倒していく。はい、素晴らしいですね。はい、これによって、
Alrighty, so that's 4 of the 5 crew I think you have to save.
夜探索に必要なので、ここで回収していきます。そしてキラキラエネルギー7000集めれたので、あとは遭難者を、助けに行くといったことが必要になっていきます。
And they've also reached their goal of 7,000 Sparklium. I might have said 10,000 earlier. 7,000. Admittedly, the stream that I'm looking at has the numbers a little small, so that was my bad for misreading it.
夜探索の目的は、治療薬を作ることです。これ葉っぱ人となった
Spark finishing up the last floor here, and all of the other runners finished up with the dungeon
治療薬の作り方が
and are using the Sparklium to get to the next area.
をうまく加工して、作ることが必要になってきます。で光塚は、一晩中、ごめんなさいね。スパークさんも成功しました。はい。ちょっと画面左下のスパーク、ごめんなさい、キーちゃんさんのとこ行きましょうか。こんな感じでパピヨンに話しかけることによって夜探索が、できるようになります。
So
で光の蜜の回収の仕方についてなんですが、
Sure, I remember that they're doing this, right?
一晩中、守ることが必要になってきます。そのためには、一晩中、光塚を、見守りながら時間経過していく。
Okay. So this was the first Pikmin game that actually lets you go out at night. But there's a bit of an asterisk on that. There are these glowing orange Pikmin that, or orange, sorry, green Pikmin, that look like little floating ghost spirits. They only come out at night and they operate at night. And the missions at night are like little tower defenses, basically.
まずいかもしれないです。
うわー、オッチンダウンしちゃった。
So,
リーダーもダウンしちゃった。
You do have to go here, but the actual fastest way to get through these sections is just to
これによって、全てをディンゴ先輩
intentionally take a death and just end the section.
夜探索はこんな
I
感じで
believe the game gives you the option to basically skip it. You have to do this at some point, but the game just kind of lets you skip it if you don't feel like doing it yourself.
そして光ピクミンの説明もしましょうか。光ピクミン、夜探索
You can use the green Pikmin.
こいつは、全部の属性に
I believe they had a different name.
まあ、2で言う、ピクミン2で
Glow
言うと
Pikmin.
コッパチャッピー
You can use glow Pikmin in dungeons, if I remember correctly, but they're like temporary. They're kind of there as like you can pull them out to replace Pikmin, or you can just use them because they have a broad array of purposes. The caveat being you can't take them out of the dungeon, so like they're temporary.
まあ、こっちの星みたいなところに近いですね。ってな技を使うことができます。夜探索以外で増やすことはできません。さて、まあ、光塚、ごめんなさい。光の蜜を、4つ集める必要があります。カッパ人を3人救助したのと、あとその後に救助するオリマーのための4つを回収する必要があります。そのため夜探索はその3つのステージを、攻略していきます。攻略というか。
Once again, intentionally taken a death here in the night section.
2日目はこんな感じでチャッピーに加われてなるべく早くダウンしていきます。ちょっと同時でね、倒せると演出で
Unfortunately, bullying our good pal Ochi here.
目標にしていきます。はい、余談ですが、まあ、11月12月のアップデートでいろんなモードが追加されたりしました。
Effectively, I haven't really mentioned too much, but you can like put some pretty powerful upgrades on Ochi. You can increase his carrying capacity. You can make his charge damage really strong. Like you can effectively break the game with Ochi. So the dog is in fact your best friend in this run.
今セールで20%
And casually.
販売してますので皆さんやってみてください。はい、キリちゃんさんが、夜探索3日目ですね。ここでは、光、の蜜が、2つ回収することができます。これペロチャツピーの、起源によってなんかダウンされる速度が変わってくるので、なるべく早くダウンされるようお祈りしたいですね。ぜひともやる気を出してほしいところです。
Yeah, one more intentional loss, I believe. Then we'll be able to go to the final area.
ここで、コンペイトへと投げていきます。はい、奥に見えるペロチャッピーですね。こいつうまくベロを出して倒してほしいんですが、いいですね、歩きですね。いい感じです。
Kind of the idea behind these missions is that they're tower defense sections. Supposed to build up an army of Pikmin and then just protect your home base. The game does let you get through this part, but like if you want to actually get the most out of the whole nighttime sections, you do, I believe, have to play them legit at some point. But that's not a concern for this particular category.
画面上側の2人もペロチャッピー戦へといるんですが、これ大丈夫か？アルバットさんがちょっと
やる気出してません、これちょっと。
やる気出してください。はい、これ光ピクミン食べられるとこんな丸のみの演出が入るので、小鉢のうどんさんとアルバットさんほぼ同時ですね。
Yeah.
2位がどっちなのか。
Kabachi and Albert are very neck and neck in second and third.
ここに戻っていきます。ここで、葉っぱ人を治療することによって最後のレスキュー単位であるバーナー
And then Spark is just finishing up the last night or getting into the last of the night sections of intentional depths.
無事、レスキュー隊員全員を救助することができたので、最後のステージ一番星の隠れ家へと向かっていきます。ここでは、ガチャをしていきます。皆さん大好きですね、ガチャ。はい。ここでは、オリマーが3桁の番号の中、金庫の中に隠れています。
All right, so here we are going into the very last area of the game, which was the first area we saw in the game with Olimar.
RTA では一番近い今奥に見えているトランプ一つだけを回収して、あと
I
は
don't know if the routes changed on this, but more or less when you come here, the thing that you need to do is open up this safe.
ブレるので皆さんお祈りをお願いいたします。
There's a whole bunch of quite elaborate
感じですね。さあどうなって
quite elaborate like puzzles and stuff to do in this particular area.
ちょっと画面上側の
Also some pretty annoying enemies, but yeah, this is like really making use of like the 3D level design of this game because there's like fans and whatnot.
あとの2つ、ハートとダイヤに関しては小あたりですがね、8? 8か。ごめん。 これちょっとないか。大丈夫か。
Oh, goodness. Okay. So they figured out what one of the numbers is based on one of the treasures they collected. And now you'll see KiriChan is just messing with the vault. So you need a 3-digit number to get into this area. And I believe it's random.
Yeah, good old brute force there.
Yeah, you're just brute forcing the first 2 digits. Because once you figured out like the last digit, it's just you're trying all of the first 100 options. And all but got quite lucky in figuring out the solution and was able to go first. Alrighty, so here we are on a Dandori battle, and this one I guess cannot be intentionally forfeited, so...
そしてちょっと画面右上のアルバツさんに注目しててください。ここで、オリマーをカップの上に乗せる、GG という技に挑戦します。さあ決まるかな。
決まりました。
Basically, you'll see, yeah, so it looks like, because we're at the auto-scroller part, it looks like we're going to be, it's going to be KiriChan with a very close second from all but of about, like, 15 seconds behind, and then another 15 seconds behind for Kobachi. So it like, second place really came down to, who got luckier with the randomly selected vault code. So they got 1 digit from it, and then just brute forced attempted the next, like, 99 possible solutions, and Spark getting the vault as well. So you'll see on the screen there's like a score. You want the blue number, obviously, which that's the player number, to be higher at the end of this than the red number. It's based on how many Pikmin that you accrue, and then how many treasures you carry, and there's like a whole bunch of shenanigans you can do in the Dandori battles. Like you can hit your opponent with power-ups and stuff.
の重さが得点となっていきます。プレミア品を集めると価値が2倍で、ハテナカプセルっていうのがあるんですけども、こいつを集めるとアイテムが使えるようになります。
Also, this is the first instance of us seeing the rock Pikmin. Rock Pikmin do a lot of damage, but when you throw them at something, it bounces off of it and just does a burst damage, and then the Pikmin will start to swarm and start hitting it, or start running into it to do damage. They do quite a bit of damage, and they're impervious to crush damage, which kills every other Pikmin instantly. A lot of this particular battle mode involves putting more Pikmin on something than your opponent, and if you bring them back to your ship, I believe it converts their Pikmin into yours.
ではまず、画面左下、キリちゃんさんお願いします。
はい、お疲れ様です。まあだいぶ完璧な。
So basically, this whole battle, you're just trying to collect more treasures than your opponent. Also used a couple of the glow Pikmin seeds to just boost up the numbers a little bit. You get a couple of the seeds for the battles. Well, this is an auto-scroller. You can lose, and it sucks when that happens. I don't believe, if you play this game right, like, as a speedrunner, I don't believe there's much, if any, chance of you failing these, just because it's like you are just a better player than your opponent. But it is still something you have to, like, intentionally do. You can't really just, like, snooze.
はい、ありがとうございます。じゃあ画面左上、小鉢のうどんさんお願いします。
はい、アルバットさんとは対照的になかなか運が悪く均衡運も悪い厳しいランだったんですけれども、まあプレイとしてはうまくできて楽しく走れたんでいいです。
はい、楽しいのは何よりですね。はい、ありがとうございます。
I'm guessing the route just significantly got more optimized recently. Like some big new optimization or something. Not entirely sure what offhand, because there isn't really like any obvious skips apart from like the jumps, but I don't think those are new. Admittedly, it's been a little bit of time since I refreshed myself on the route. I kind of signed up for this last minute just because I really like Pikmin and I like this game, and I remember a decent amount of it, so excuse me for any lies that I might have spread on the internet.
冒頭の方で本場に強いタイプと紹介されたんですが、それ本日で返上させていただきます。
KiriChan keeping this close here.
アルバットさん右上ちょっとなんか変な演出入ってますね。これまあウイルスインストールって言われまして、なんか変なまあ救助隊なんか本来だったら攻略の状況だとかマップとか見れるっていう。
I think KiriChan's already locked in the win at this point. This whole thing is like you're supposed to run out the time. So whoever got into this part of the dungeon first basically won.
まだ大丈夫か。
Yeah, but there's tension with the score.
Yeah. Oh, that's what you meant. Yeah, KiriChan, the opponent has by far the highest score here. Whereas if you look at Albert's screen, it's just this is some Brazil v Germany in the 2014 World Cup levels of beatdown.
I understood that reference.
まあダンドリーバトル勝つことはそんなに難しくないので。
My apologies to any Brazilians in chat for reminding.
Bark's actually losing in terms of score.
Yeah, I don't expect that actually to carry through, but it is kind of funny to see just the variance in how each runner is doing in this particular match.
Somebody's practiced. They were practicing for the incentive. It's Albert.
That does me curious how it's going to actually end up going when they do the Dendori battle at the end.
なるべく押すことによってこのフランスこの今画面にちょうど見えてくれるこの台座の上に出てくるんですけれどもその脇判定を潰していきます。これによって大体2秒ほどの
broadly speaking, this is probably like the least important part of the run to practice because like it's effectively a 7-minute auto scroller. So I definitely could see why one runner might make this a lot closer.
アルバットさんはお絵かきをしてますね。RIG これはいいですね。センスがありますね。
ちょっとあれですね、文字汚いですね。直したいですね。
まだまだですが。確かに R のところもうちょっと頑張って。
なんかピクミンの数が。
そしてキリちゃんさんはあれですね。オリマーに向かって岩ピクミン投げてますね。オリマーに向かって岩ピクミンを当てることによって一瞬でダウンできるんですが、最後は決まらず。
And that's it. KiriChan secures the victory over Plant Olimar.
バトルを勝利していきます。これによってオリマーを回収することができます。
All but with just an absolute beatdown of the score.
Yeah, and he's just been sitting there. So I think I wonder if it was like locked the other character in somewhere.
So all that's really left to do is bring Olimar back to the ship, and I believe that is more or less when the run is over. And once you take care of these enemies here, can just move the hub, the base to right here, so you don't have to take Olimar nearly as far.
Oh, an escort mission to finish the game.
Kind of.
右上のアルバットさんも拠点を開放していきます。爆弾とこっちに戻し。
It's less escort and more just carry him like a treasure.
で、画面左下、キリちゃんさんがオリマーを回収していきました。このままではまだ救助扱いにならないので、夜探索で集めた光の蜜を使って、オリマーを救助していきます。
All but using the sprays to make the Pikmin move a little quicker and carrying Olimar back.
はい、タイマーストップに関してなんですけども、そろそろ、オリマーを治療したっていうので、クリアっていう文字が出たらタイマーストップになります。
Yeah, so with that, KiriChan has won the race. Kind of stayed ahead the entire time, but by just enough that anyone could have overtaken.
Yeah.
Yep. Olimar save. That is a 103.52. Very good marathon time for a game like this.
いや、素晴らしいタイムですね、これ。とってもいいと思います。そして画面右上のアルバットさんですね。はい。オリマーを救助した。で、クリア。 当時はい
all but just behind with a 104.14, 22-second difference. Like, it really could have came down to the vault. Like, it was that close. Another
はいここでタイムストップがなります。
12, 13-second difference for Kobachi. Like, you know, top 3 runners all,
はいスパーク
excuse me, all within
本当に葉っぱ陣をね救助回収するだけで
35 seconds of each other.
になってしまうので
And Spark has just finished rescuing Olimar and will just be going through the final formality of cutscenes. So yeah, all of them within like a minute and a half of each other. Not bad. These are several of the like top runners of this game and have all like incredibly close times on the leaderboards. Kobachi actually has the listed record, but all but getting the better of him this time.
はいタイムストップです。お疲れ様でした。
All right, 105. Well, it was 105.16, close enough. So yeah, that's within 1 minute and 25 seconds of each other. So very good race from everybody.
はい。ここでこの RTA は終了なんですが、今回の寄付額投票
Like there's so many little things you have to deal with in this game. So many just little volatile factors. Not a ton of like true randomness, but plenty of like little variants. And just so many things can go wrong with your army of Pikmin because they all each have their own unique behavior and whatnot.
2人による段取りバトルをぜひお楽しみください。ではちょっとセットアップがありますので少々お待ちください。
So I believe we do have an incentive coming up.
Yep.
Which is, I think, what we're getting to. That's what they're setting up. So don't go away if you're a Pikmin fan.
Skipping all the credits.
So yeah, with 200,000 yen raised, now we're going to do the Dandori battle between the runners.
段取りバトル頂上決戦っていうとても嬉しい。
So yeah, it's gonna be we're gonna exit out to the menu and get into the multiplayer settings. So
Yep.
it's like we're gonna have a battle between KiriChan and Albert, our top 2 runners of this particular race. Are they gonna do a bracket? That's my question. Like, are they gonna have like a
I don't
trio of matches here?
解説の準備お願いします。
I don't know.
Looks like they're all trying to sync up their controllers.
あ、使う？
I'm gonna be right back into just the little men's room.
All right. So while we're doing that, you are watching RTA in Japan Winter 2025. This is Pikmin 4. We've already rescued Olimar. This is the incentive, the Dandori battle between KiriChan and Albert, the top 2 people in the race that won the race, the 4-player race.
なかなかはいやることないんですよね。オフラインでちょっとぶっつけ本番ということでなんとかやっていければいいかなと思います。 あ、はい、ちょっと設定、はい、確認してください。
If you want to see the schedule in English, exclamation mark schedule in the chat will get you to that schedule. And then if you want to commentate one of those games, exclamation mark form gets you the form to be able to come in and commentate one of the games if you know any of the upcoming runs.
あ、なんもない。あ、いいよいいよ。
Of just the angry player character and Olimar. Oh no, no! Oh, he's
オリマーとルイしかないみたいですね。
okay, I'm not sure which opponent is which. I assume Albert is the player on the right, player 2.
ちょっと動作確認の時間があるので、もう少々お待ちくだ
He's
さい。
playing as Louis. So Louis is the he is your quote-unquote co-worker. I'm going to say your Nakama, your co-worker in Pikmin 2. He is...
これ左側がキリちゃんさん。で
Nobody
右側が
knows if he's evil or not, actually, but he is a menace to society.
で、
Okay, I guess they're just doing a button check. Yeah, playing as Louis is,
はい、じゃあここから、段取りバトルを
It's a little
じ
unhinged.
ゃあ3カウントで始めていきましょうか。3、2、1、スタートです。はい。
Yeah, they're just doing a button check.
All right. For real now.
So first objective is obviously they only have 10 Pikmin, so they need to build up their army rather quickly. And since the resources in Dandori battles are shared, I don't really touch on this too much because it doesn't really matter in like the speedrun context. Each player is trying to take as many things before the opponent can. And like I mentioned, if you take something that another person's Pikmin is holding, it kind of becomes like, you know, I have 8 Pikmin carrying this, you have 7. So it drags their Pikmin with them, and you can convert the enemy's Pikmin by taking something that their Pikmin is holding on to. Yeah, this kind of just becomes like a chaotic battle of trying to carry more things, and also make sure that you know your Pikmin don't get hijacked. Player 2, I believe, is all that is currently in the lead by a pretty big margin of Pikmin and treasures at this point. So yeah, the score is quite a big difference, but it's still anyone's go. There's also there's like you see in the item the item in the center is like a strawberry. Whatever that item is a it's considered more valuable, so it gets twice the score while it's in the center. You just saw oranges also now have triple the score. So, like, those become the priority. So there's kind of a volatility to the Dandori battles of, like, what becomes more valuable. Oh no! Player 2 gets a huge lead off of that orange. Sprayed up their Pikmin and immediately just bum rush the onion with the orange, which so it's 3 times and it's already worth 10 points, so that's like a total of 30 points added to their score just off of that. The strawberry has changed to a fiery blowhog, which will now be worth 15. 3 times the 5 points there. And player 1 gets a spicy spray, so they've evened up the margin a pretty substantial amount. So yeah, a lot of it is just waiting for the bonus items and really going hard into trying to get those. But you also don't want to neglect building up your army and picking up as much as you can along the way, especially when the bonus items are all cleared off of the screen.
Oh, electricity.
Yep. You can get some power-ups. I believe there's these like balls that drop that you send Pikmin, and once they get captured, you get like a random power-up. In that case, it's like a lightning bolt that just momentarily stuns your opponent. Pretty close. Margin of victory is only 11 points. 30 seconds. Oh! The score just shot right up. Oh, player 1 just absolutely toppled the KiriChan absolutely toppled Albit's like horde of Pikmin, all trying to bring back the little gold marbles. I don't remember what they're called, but those are worth quite a bit. So if you just stop all of them in your tracks, yeah, player 1, believe that is KiriChan getting the come from behind victory in the last 30 seconds.
キリちゃんさんの勝利となりました。キリちゃんさんおめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
じゃあ段取りバトルやった感想でも聞きましょうか。じゃあアルバツさんお願いします。
いやそうですね、ちょっと最初リードしてきたんですけど、ちょっと後半油断てか激辛スプレーを引かれたのがちょっとめちゃくちゃきつくて、そこで大きく逆転を許してしまいましたね。もうちょっと阻止に徹するべきだったかなと思います。まあ、この後ちょっと目があったら一緒に段取り。
So that kind of just shows you like
はい、じゃああ
the
りがとう
nature
ご
of
ざいます。
Pikmin tactics, which is just efficiency, but like in a much more volatile and random situation.
激辛スプレーが強いとは聞いてたんですけど、その練習する機会がなくて強さを実
I don't know
感
if
で
they
き
said
な
they're
かった
doing one battle or if it was like the top two racers were doing it, or if they're doing like a full-blown
こんな
bracket.
に強いんだなっていうのはちょっと改めて実感しましたありがとうございます。
はい。はい、以上、ピクミン4のお時間でした。ではありがとうございました。
All right. Seems like they're all done here. So, thanks, y'all. Thanks for